This edition of the Best of Beer It is a CSPN Media podcast presentation.
My name is Nubyjas Wilborn. We are listening to Beer It Is on the CSPN network. And damn right I'm cool because we're here and I'm drinking a really cool barrel-aged secret stout. Shh, don't tell everybody. But I guess I can now tell everybody because it is out there. And the man behind that secret stout, as well as that brown ale that comes in those cans, as well as that IPA, the Hefeweizen, and so many different styles, is my man Jeremy Baker. And I'm going to talk to Jeremy now. What was your first good beer?
Wow, my first good beer.
Yes.
Man, I probably had a lot of beer before I had a good beer.
Yeah, me too, man, because, I laugh about this because, I worked in Tallahassee for a good year and a half at the Tallahassee Democrat, really cool paper there, and so I was there, and that's how I know Byron and some of those other guys at Grasslands and Deep. Shout out to all the Tallahassee brewers, and I'm really looking forward to getting back down there soon. Come holler at you guys, because, man, y'all are doing some really dope stuff that I can take when I go to other places. That being said, I'm so jealous of the college kids down there. By the way, the ones who are over 21, because on Beer It Is, we advocate for legal drinking, not, underage drinking. But that being said, those kids are coming up only drinking good beer. Sure. And I love it because it's great for the industry, but I'm jealous because my first beer was a Mickey's.
Yeah.
And the little, ponies. It was they call it little ponies. For those who don't know, if you're under, say, 25, it was like a little 6-ounce little thing. And I borrowed it from my grandmother, who's still here. Granny, I still love you.
Did you give it back?
Eventually.
One form or another.
In one form or another. And she got my love and undying devotion. But nonetheless, I borrowed a Mickey's from Grandma as we were watching wrestling on a night with, catfish and biscuits, because, again, I'm a Southern boy. So that's how that goes. And that was my first taste of beer. Then from there, it was Budweiser and Heineken and Coronas with grenadine and all that garbage. Wow. So I didn't really drink a good beer until I was probably in my mid to late 20s, and it was in Newcastle, and I was in Atlanta as Sweetwater and all those guys came out. Anyway, the point is, without digressing too far, that now kids are coming up drinking really great beer early. So how was that for you as a brewer?
Yeah, so for me, I'm really lucky. So my mom's British, and so I have a lot of family.
Oh, nice. Cakes and ale, yeah.
So I have been to England a number of times, and we used to go at least once every couple of years when I was growing up.
Nice.
So from about the time I was of legal drinking age over there.
Which is 18, but you're not going to go there.
Exactly. Yeah, 18 as long as you can see over the bar.
Hey, man. If they serve it to you?
No. I was definitely old enough to partake. And I would say that's my first experience with really good beer.
So what was it? What did you
honestly, it was a Guinness. The first great...
Guinness over there is different than Guinness over there.
Absolutely. The first great beer I ever had was a Guinness draft at the pub in Bath, England.
Ooh, okay.
Bath, Easton, England.
Nice.
And to this day, it's still one of the most delicious beers I've ever had.
Nice.
And things are a lot different now. I don't know if I would feel the same way about a Guinness draft over there now.
Probably not.
As I did then.
Although a good Guinness for an extra, if you can get a hold of that, particularly if it's nitroed.
Absolutely.
My word, it's still really good, really smooth, and the nitro brings out certain balances. And speaking of that, you guys have a beer on nitro right now.
Yeah, we recently got a nitro tap, and what we've done is we're just experimenting with our different brews on that tap. So we've pretty much run through every regular beer we have, and it's been really fun noticing the different nuances with the nitro tap and with the regular tap.
So is there one in particular that really works well with the nitro tap that
the multi beers seem to work really well.
I'm sure that brown ale is probably really good on nitro,
yeah,
right?
honestly, the 1901, we call it the 1901 roasted red ale.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a traditional red by any sense. It drinks more like a stout or a porter.
Nice.
It's very dark, very roasty. It has almost a coffee flavor to it. But it's a very malt forward beer, and I think the nitro really accentuates those subtle notes that are in there. Because
it kind of balances out, takes a little bit of that carbonation out of it, makes it smooth.
The carbonation helps with really hoppy beers. It helps with that bite and that bitterness that you get. So with the malty beers, you don't get that carbonation bite, and so you really can enjoy those subtle flavors that are in the malt bill.
Nice. And speaking of subtle flavors in the malt bill, you're listening to Beer It Is. And I tell you what, man, my name is Nubyjas Wilborn. I'm here at Bold City with my man, Jeremy Baker. And, he's cooking up some really great stuff, man. So Jeremy Baker is a good name for you because that's how we're rocking and rolling here. And speaking of bacon, man, let's talk a little bit about your water treatment. How are you treating your water? I hear Jacksonville gets some pretty good water. Tell me about it, what you guys are doing differently.
We get some really good water, and we're not doing a whole lot differently. We have a
carbon filter, at least?
We have a really basic filtration system, so a carbon filter and a charcoal filter.
Nice, yeah.
So other than that, we're using, straight city water filtered with some pH balancer. And that's all we seem to need to do. We've got really great water.
And so it kind of zeroes it out, and then you're able to do whatever you want to.
Yeah,
for what you're
doing. Balances that pH. It's pretty common in the brew world, depending on what kind of water you have. But we have one of the largest rivers in the world, I think. Here,
it's St. John's,
one of the few that flow north, and it gives us some really good water.
Nice, and that I tell you what, man, beer is so much about the water. And if you can get good water, it really makes it easier to do some really fun things with beer. So we talked about the brewery itself, the 20-barrel system. What are you guys testing on?
Right now, we are having to test on the 20-barrel system.
That's why you want to move downtown, as we talked about.
Exactly. So the downtown will be kind of our test system. It'll if something does really well down there, then we can do it on the 20-barrel system and make more of it. And then if it does well from there, we can move it into the production schedule. But we've been really fortunate to do as well as we have in the short time we've been here. We distribute enough to keep our 20-barrel system full with our regular lineup plus our seasonals.
Nice.
Every once in a while we do something special or we'll throw something in.
Do you do like bottle releases or that kind of thing?
We don't have a bottling line anymore. So,
okay,
so no, we can the 3 sort of flagships, and then we have a small barrel aging program. So we were mostly doing bourbon barrels. We just recently started experimenting with some rum barrels.
Oh, rum barrels are fun.
Yeah, we've expressed some interest in some other barrels, some wine barrels, and,
nice.
and other liquors as well.
Yeah, because back in Atlanta, there was a brewery, and I had them on the podcast earlier, Wild Heaven. They do like a tequila barrel aged ale.
Yeah.
And it is really smooth.
Green Room does an amazing tequila barrel aged beer. They only release it once a year.
Wow.
And it's got some serrano peppers and some, I think it's like an imperial red. I'm not exactly sure about that, but it's really nice. We'd like to get our hands on a tequila barrel at some point.
Yeah, and because there's so many things you do with it. Because you can brown ale in it, you can do an IPA in it. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can do with tequila barrels that maybe you can't do with bourbon. So
bourbon barrels are easy to get because they only use them once.
Right. Yeah, French law.
But other barrels are becoming easier to get because there's a higher demand for it in the brewing community.
Nice. And speaking of the brewing community, how is the community here in Jacksonville?
Man, it's amazing here. We started in 2008, so we're about to have our 8-year anniversary here in October. And we were the first ones. The next one didn't come till about 1.5 years later, maybe almost 2 years later. And we're already up to 9 with probably, I would assume, at least 2 or 3 more in the next year.
That's crazy.
So it's really blown up, and it's great, man. There's a strong bond between all the breweries. We have a
little bit of competition though, too, right?
I mean, it's friendly competition.
Right.
Jacksonville's a really big city, and there's plenty of room for all of us. So, and there's plenty of places that have enough taps to put all the local breweries on.
Nice.
So you don't see a whole lot of brute competition.
There's no hate, there's no shade, anything like that.
Everybody's. The cool thing about Jacksonville is that it's so big, and 9 breweries compared to a place like Asheville is nothing. You know what I mean? Compared to
which Asheville's so small, but there's so many. There's big boys, there's little boys, there's middle, and then there's like the brew pubs. Like almost every restaurant in Asheville brews beer.
Sure.
It's crazy.
So for here, everyone can kind of do something a little bit different. Everyone can specialize in what aspect of brewing they really are passionate about, and everyone is kind of doing something different, adding something to the community in general.
And I think that's important when you talk about brewing, because that's what makes craft beer so special, because you're able to say, okay, hey, we might specialize in IPAs. Okay, so we got the stouts, we got the browns, and then because it's Florida, you need some little easier drink. Like I always talk about Proof down here because they have that mango wit, and that's one of those easy to drink but so Florida beers, right? And so every brewery can find their own feng shui, but not get in the way of others, but still turn people on to beer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The sours are on the rise right now.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so that's something we may experiment with when we get downtown. It's not anything we want to tackle here at the production facility.
Because and souring is a whole other thing, because that's a whole other way you have to store and everything else.
But, you know, here in Florida and in Jacksonville, some of those lighter styles that are you know, kettle soured or fast soured, however you want to talk about it, are becoming really popular because of the weather here. They're nice and light. They're low ABV. They're refreshing. You know, it's almost like drinking a spiked lemonade rather than a beer. You know, it's and
nice. I think, and also too for the brewer, that's important because it's like Coke. Like, hey, I can drink a few of these, and so
sessionable, like you said. You know, something you can take to the beach with you. Something you can. You know.
Right, and the more I can drink, the more I can buy again.
Right.
Which always is good for the brewers, because, I mean, let's be real, like, this is a business. You guys are in to make money. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, obviously, you just craft, but
sure,
you want to make a living. Let's go from there. By the way, guys, you're listening to Beer It Is on the CSPN Network. My name is Nubyjas Wilborn. I am here at Bold City with my man, Jeremy Baker, and we're just rocking and rolling. So, Jeremy, talking about the business side just a little bit. It's always kind of the awkward part, but it is what it is. How is it coming with, like, getting the hops you want, getting the malts you want? How's that going? And is that a challenge yet, or is it something you're still working on?
Yeah, so I can only say so much as far as I know.
Yeah, of course,
but, you know, being the brewer and not the money guy. But so far things have been good. You know, we have a good relationship with the malt company we go through.
Nice. Are you guys in a hop union, or?
I believe so.
Okay.
And we do contracts for the entire year, so we kind of think about how much of each hop we're going to need, and we establish those contracts. And only recently has it become an issue. Actually, just looking forward to next year. There's been such a boom in this business that things aren't as readily available as they were.
Right.
And you do worry about that a little bit when it comes down to your flagships. You know, am I going to be able to keep making this the same way that I have been?
Yeah.
But so far we've been pretty fortunate. You know, we've been doing this for a long time, and we have good relationships with the people we're getting our product from.
And that's important, because one of the things with Miller and Bud, InBev, whatever you want to call them, getting into the game, buying these breweries is, okay, fine. They're going to get the hops they need because they're big boys. And for the ones who, I don't want to call it selling out. I don't want to do that, because, I mean, hey, you're in a business to make money. If you're able to cash out on, say you invested $500,000, somebody comes with $10 million, you'd be an idiot not to take it. So, I mean, I can't judge a brewery for that, and that's choice, and that's whatever, right? But what ends up happening is, for guys like you who are still trying to, like, be independent, be on your own, it makes it a little harder. But it seems like you guys have a plan to kind of make it work, at least for now.
Things are going good for us, and I think with those problems come solutions. Mm-hmm. So we're starting to see a boom in just specialized maltsters, and
nice.
people are trying to grow their own hops. There's a program at our local university, I believe at UNF, that are experimenting with growing hops indoors.
Yeah, University of Florida is too. They're trying to grow indoor hops.
Right. Yeah, finding strains that will work in this environment, and so there's people solving those problems that are arising, and that's creating more education, more jobs, more opportunities for a lot of people, and expanding the brewing community even further than it is now.
So it may not be a Chinook hop anymore. That's a West Coast hop, but it may be a Florida hop that we don't even know it exists yet.
Exactly. It might be an experimental hop that sort of emulates that Chinook hop or comes close to it. And, there's something cool about that. I know it's getting real big in, like, the New York area right now, but there's something cool about being able to get everything as local as possible.
Yeah.
If you can make a beer that's really just supporting your area and your community, there's something to be said for that. You're doing something good for the entire industry, but also your entire community.
One of my recent episodes was from Southern Tier, and I hold them in a whole nother level from actually getting to get a private tour, really getting to see how they operate and what they do. And I was shocked that they're brewing their Pumpkin, which is a crazy seller. They're distributed in 36 states, but they're still doing it with pumpkin puree. So, I mean, I think that beer alone, they distribute 30,000 barrels of just that beer, of just pumpkin. And yet they're doing it with still pumpkin puree. So fortunately up there are a lot of pumpkin growers. And so there are pumpkin growers who are making a whole lot of money now that may not have been before. They do like beers with maple, and so that's really cool to see. And that's seems like something you guys want to be able to do down here too, correct?
Yeah, I think I think it's great. You know, I think we for our pumpkin beer we use a local company just down the street.
Nice.
They provide us with real pumpkin powder, and we came up with a spice mix through them using all natural ingredients that they were able to create for us and specifically for our beer. So yeah, we tend to use local when we can. It's hard in North Florida to
There's also so many things can grow. I mean, and I get it.
Exactly.
But.
So we're still getting our 2-row from far away and most of our hops from all over, but we do what we can to stay local and be a part of the community and help everyone out around us.
And I tell you what, one way you can help people be local is by tuning into BeerItIs, #BeerItIs on Twitter, on Instagram, everywhere else. Tell your friends, tell your family. If you like the show, tell 10 friends. If you don't, kick rocks. But nonetheless, I'm not kicking rocks right now. I have just finished this really beautiful secret.
Hey everyone, this is your man Jeremy from the Crown and Collars podcast. Just reminding you that you are listening to a CSPN media presentation and to check out Crown and Collars every Wednesday so we can tell you what your aunt does when you're not around.
This episode of the BeerItIs podcast is sponsored by Busted Tees, your home for funny, awesome, cool t-shirts that are sure to get your friends' attention. Busted Tees puts many of their popular shirt designs on sale each week. Choose from several eye-catching t-shirts inspired by pop culture. Cleverly themed t-shirts inspired by movies, video games, TV shows, comic books, geek culture, and much more are on sale right now. To help keep our podcast free, you can order from Busted Tees by going to our official website, CSPN.us. That's CSPN.us. Then clicking on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Busted Tees banner, and then you can shop for awesome t-shirts. Busted Tees through CSPN.us. Do it today.
All right, boys and girls, my name is Nubyjas Wilborn. The name on our key is BeerItIs, and today is a special day because I am here with a fellow Clarkite. That's right, Clark Atlanta University, my alma mater, the most beautiful school on the face of the earth, the Clark Atlanta, and my man Jason Jones from HopSpot ATL. He has beer tours. And he's a brother, so it's really cool to get, look, I love what I do with this craft beer cast. I enjoy it, but it's always cool when I get the brother on, especially from my dear, proud alma mater, Hail Roaring Panthers, man Jason. What's up?
What's going on, my man? How you doing?
Man, I'm fantastic, man. So we'll get into that accent. I mean, from Baltimore, so we'll get into that and your background with craft beer. But let's start into that. Tell us about HopSpot.
Sure.
And what exactly you guys do and kind of how you roll.
Well, the main idea is to connect people with everything that's going on craft-wise here in the city, or the state for that matter. There are so many options, so many places you can get good brew, good beer, good food, good spirits, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So we really just want to connect our guests with those outlets.
Nice. And so you have these tours.
Uh-huh.
People come on. Tell us a little bit about them. First of all, tell us where to find you.
Sure. You can check us out online, www.hopspotbeertours.com. Again, that is hopspotbeertours.com. Facebook, HopSpot Beer Tours of Atlanta. Instagram, we are HopSpot ATL, as well as Twitter.
And so that's very important. Find these guys. Check them out.
Yes, sir.
And from what I hear, if you tell them you heard about this on the BeerItIs podcast, they show you a little bit of love.
Yeah, might be able to work something out, my man.
A little bit of love, you know, just a little bit. And so, speaking of that, I went on your most recent tour up in Roswell. We started first of all, they came and picked us up, had a really nice van, him and the lovely wife, as I've kind of become a recurring theme on this podcast.
She's my director of marketing.
Whether it's a brewer, whether it's a brew pub owner, or whatever, it seems to be having the lovely lady who is supporting. Tell us about Shira, man. She seems to really be down for what you're doing and how you're
Definitely. I mean, we've only been married a little over a year and a half, but in that time together, man, we've definitely grown a lot, especially since starting this business. She's been down 100%. I remember when I told her about the idea, she was like, hey, whatever you got to do, let's do it. And I'm on board. So to have that support and that backing behind the things that, I want to go after is it's phenomenal. I mean, it leaves me speechless.
Nice, man. And, you told me how you met her and just, kind of growing and individually as well as together. And now it seems like you guys are able to, like she drives a van and as we're able to kind of drink beer, man.
Until we get a full-time driver. Yep,
Sure.
Like I said, she's going to do what needs to be done as long as I'm doing what needs to be done. So we're going to make it work.
That's a beautiful thing, man. So for this tour, you picked us up at the train station or wherever else we parked. And then from there, we were on a bus. We had chips. We had a gift bag.
Yeah.
Man, tell us how you come about the gift bags and just everything else that comes along.
Well, it's the gift bag itself is really just a token of our appreciation for choosing us. There are other options here in the city, but, we want to thank every single guest in our own special way for choosing us to go on a beer tour. I mean, there are a lot of options here in the city beer-wise. So, again, it's just, hey, you chose us. Thank you.
And so let's talk about it a little bit. So
Sure.
we went to Roswell.
And
so we started Abbey and the Holy Ghost.
Uh-huh.
First female-led owned brewing in the state.
And one of their head brewers is female as well.
Right.
Yeah. So they're doing some awesome things up there, man. Roswell is one of those places that not a lot of people who are inside the city venture out to. And if you're in that area, I mean, you're going there regularly. That's your neighborhood, that's your backyard. So you're gonna frequent those places. So what we try to do is get people who don't really go into the area and show them everything that it has to offer, and kind of just go from there.
Yeah, because I know I wouldn't have gone out there because that's a long way to go if you're going to have a few pops and not only go from there.
Yep.
So what was your favorite beer at Abbey and the Holy Ghost?
Definitely the vanilla Goat's Obsession. That one was phenomenal. I'm already a big fan of the Goat's Obsession double IPA, but this one, just adding those vanilla characteristics to it, just made it that much better.
Yeah, and shout out to Kathy up there, man.
Most definitely.
Really cool lady who knows the game. She has an interesting story.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get into a little bit of that. Like, she would either have been a nun or a brewer.
Yep. And I guess getting drunk at Brickstore Pub one night just led her to her decision. So
shout out to Brickstore Pub, man. It has definitely been an incubator of what is Atlanta beer and the industries around this area, man. So then from there, we went from there to
Gate City.
Gate City.
Gate City, yes, sir.
And they're right in downtown Roswell.
Yep, right there on the corner. That's one of the places that recently opened up, I think, within the last 6 or 7 months, early 2016 in Roswell. And they've been pumping out some really good American-style beers. It looks like that's their niche, especially for that area. A cool thing about Roswell is, from what I hear, their city mayor is actually trying to create something similar to Asheville, North Carolina.
Nice.
So they want to have a handful of breweries. I know Variant Brewing is going to be brewing up there in the next, I want to say, year. I spoke with the owner not too long ago at the Scofflaw grand opening.
Right. Shout out to Scofflaw, man. Those guys are doing it. Travis and the crew over there.
Yeah, and they're looking to make a splash within the next year. So they got some good things coming. Roswell has a lot of great beer spots and a lot of good food spots. The downtown scene is vibrant, so they got a lot of things coming.
Nice. And then from there, we went to a bottle shop.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yep. Right off Atlanta Street. So our big thing with the beer tours is really to connect people with each point of sale where beer is available, whether it be the brewery, the bottle shop, a brew pub, or any other place that's cool, that you can get beer. So we do 2 breweries generally, a bottle shop as well as a brew pub. And this particular tour for the bottle shop, we ended up at El Yeah. So you can get samples there, you can buy bottles there, and then they have an array of options, a lot of new drops that came out they had. And again, it's just exposing people to what's available in a place that they wouldn't normally go to.
And that's cool. And I tell you what, another place you want to get exposed? Right here on the BeerItIs podcast on the CSPN network. My name is Nubyjas Wilborn. Here with my man Jason Jones, rocking and talking my fellow Clarkite, Hail Roaring Panthers. You know how we do it. And we're just talking beer and his beer journey. Let's talk a little bit. We'll get back to the tours. Let's talk a little bit about, you're in the beer trading. And we haven't. One thing about with the podcast, most of the episodes have been talking to brewers. So it's kind of one of the first times I really got to talk to a connoisseur of beer more than somebody who makes the beer.
Yeah. I'm not quite connoisseur status yet, but I appreciate that.
You're on the game, though. I mean, you know what's going on, man. Shout out to our group.
Yes, sir.
I ain't gonna put no names, please.
Exactly.
But young African American men of different backgrounds get together and we rap about beer. And one of the things that with you've gotten into the trading game, man. So let's talk a little bit about that, man. What's been one of your favorite beers that you have gotten? And some of what we call, I guess, porch bombs.
Yeah, man. I love my two favorite breweries right now are going to be Modern Times out of San Diego, and then Five Rabbit up in Chicago. Modern Times makes one of my favorite IPAs right now, the City of the Sun. And then Five Rabbit, I mean, they have a whole bunch of, their line of stouts right now are just phenomenal. Yodo con Leche is one of my favorites. I'm actually trying to set up a trade right now.
Nice.
One of those. It is stout season. So
it's stout season, baby.
Yeah, I got to get a couple more of those in my cellar, and then, some get ready to drink this season. So, those are my two favorites at the moment that are outside of Georgia. But I'm definitely open to trying some new things throughout the country. So
I tell you what, man, it's always stout season on BeerItIs.
Yes, sir.
I tell you what, for me, because that's just my favorite style.
Hey, I'll drink a
barrel
stout.
aged Russian Imperial. I'll drink a stout in 100 degree weather.
Yep.
You hear me? I mean, I could be in a white beater sweating, and I'm gonna drink a stout, baby.
Yep.
That's just my favorite style. I just like a good stout.
Yeah.
So for you, what was? You're from Baltimore, obviously. So, I mean, Maryland has grown in the beer scene. You got Heavy Seas.
Yep.
You got,
Duclaw
up there. I mean, so, I mean, and you got a lot of smaller breweries in that Maryland area and that DMV area. So, I have to excel some of those guys and the group.
Yep.
How did you get into craft beer? What was the first good beer you had?
Well, I didn't get into craft beer until I was already down here in Georgia. It was a couple of years ago.
Because you're probably drinking on Natty Bows, right?
No, man, I was a vodka man coming up.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Actually, you know what?
That's how you keep your shelf figure.
I drank 40s, though. I drank 40s, so
good
St. Ives was probably my go-to beer, but outside of that was vodka. But
you hanging out with Biggie and Pac in the 90s, man? Drinking St. Ives?
I was old enough, man. But, the Lazy Magnolia Southern Pecan was the first beer that got me into the craft game. One of my guys from work, we went out to a local bar, and I just said, hey, give me something that, might not be too sweet or too bitter or whatever, and suggested the Lazy Magnolia Southern Pecan, and I fell in love from there, man. So I've been trying to explore a lot of offerings, throughout the nation. I really want to master what's going on here locally first, obviously with doing beer tours, but, I'm always trying to try something new wherever it's from.
So what made you decide to go from being a beer drinker to becoming a part of the beer community as far as making a little money out of this thing, right?
Two things. Me personally, I have a bunch of entrepreneurial aspirations. I've always had them since I was a kid. I've worked as soon as I'm old enough to work. I've owned small businesses here and there, but I always want to do something that I find joy in. There haven't been too many things out there that I can see myself doing for the rest of my life, basically. So there's that aspect, and then falling in love with the craft beer scene. It's just joining some passions that I have. Not only that, I love meeting new people and going to places to try new things, and of course sharing those things with new people. So it's a combination of different things. But I love people, I love beer, and I want to show off what Georgia has to offer. So that's kind of how HopSpot got started.
Nice. And so what are some of your favorite spots in the state, man?
In state, my favorite, hands down right now, is Monday Night. Shout out to those guys. Looks like we've been doing a whole bunch of shout-outs tonight. But
salute.
Drafty Kilt was probably the first beer that I could buy every single day and not get tired of it. To this day, I'm actually going around random places and seeing if I can find the Cinnamon Cocoa Drafty Kilt, which I actually found a 6-pack today, lo and behold, at Target up here in Ackworth. So I scooped it. It was the very last one. Dusty bottles and everything, man. I had
so
to
it's
get
probably
it,
already aged for you. So
it's ready to go, man. But they're one of my favorites. I mean, there's so many good guys out here that I could go down the whole list, but they're my favorite, top to bottom.
Nice. And then, how do you pick the places where you kind of do your tours?
Yeah.
I know ours was a Roswell tour. I'm hearing you have a Kennesaw tour coming up.
Yep. November 19th is going to be the Kennesaw tour. We're actually going to stop first at Dry County. Then we'll go to Burnt Hickory. We're going to add something new this time and stop at a distillery, Lazy Guys Distillery, this time rather than going to a brew pub. And then we'll finish off at Wise Owl Growler, so, you can get some beer to take home. Nice. But the whole thing behind, choosing which location we're going to be at, we really just want to keep everything neighborhood focused. So we're not driving from Kennesaw to Marietta to downtown. Unless, of course, you want to do a private tour where those are the breweries that you choose. But we want to spend less time on the road traveling and more time in each of the stops so you can experience what they have to offer, the people who work behind the scenes, the crowd, and even, the ambiance of the surrounding area. So.
Well, yeah, because one of the cool things about the tour we did was, we're about at each of the breweries, we're about a good hour, maybe hour and a half, and we got to check out the facilities, the tours. How important is that to you for people to learn that part of the game?
Yeah, there's always that education aspect. Again, exposing people to what's available, in your own backyard is a huge part of what we do. So, we always want people to meet the people who make the beer. If it's not the owner, maybe one of the brewers or, somebody who has a hand in what actually goes into what you're drinking. Again, that's a big part of what we're trying to do is connect the people to the people who make it.
Because, and for instance, on our tour, we had a gentleman who, he said it was a Bud Light drinker. And so what was it like kind of seeing him go from, because I've met this young man, he definitely is a Bud Light, kind of guy, right? Well, he was. He was that dude. What was it like kind of seeing him try like some complicated stouts and some porters, other things?
Well, having something like that, is always fun. It's awesome to see somebody try something new and get hooked instantaneously. That's how it happened for me. So to see that in one of our guests, in and of itself, is a feat. It's awesome. It's great to experience. So getting him, exposed to what else is out there. Now his eyes are open. So now he's going to go seek after that and potentially become a regular customer for one of our local breweries, if not a couple.
And that's got to be fun, just getting people to learn, the process of brewing, what goes in it, and what these. And it's called craft beer, but these people are crafting, like they're making.
It's a work of art. That's exactly what it is. Yep.
And so,
This is Tim Dog from the Comic Book Chronicles. Make sure to join myself, Agent 70, Dirt, and Roddy Cat live every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, as we discuss the latest breaking comic book news and also review the new comic books each week, along with discussing TV shows, movies, and much more. And make sure to go to our website, theclicknation.com. You can listen to the Comic Book Chronicles every Friday by subscribing to the Cold Slither Podcast Network.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. It is your boy, Nubyjas Wilborn, and the name on the marquee is BeerItIs, and I am at one of my favorite places, not just saying it because I'm here, or because of certain breweries listening, but more because they actually brew some really fun beer at Orpheus in this beautiful, I guess, almost 4th Ward at Piedmont Park area. And I am with a lovely lady. And what makes me really excited about this is a groundbreaker for our podcast. We have the first black woman to be on the podcast, second woman on the podcast. First was from Southern Tier, but today we have the lovely Rebecca Royster. Rebecca, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you for having me, and thank you for everything you guys do for the beer industry. So let's get right into you. Talk about your beer story. How did you end up here at Orpheus?
I guess it all started from bartending, really.
On a clear, stormy night, right now. I'm just kidding.
I wish I could say something as exciting as that. No, but really, I was a bartender for many years, and I ultimately landed at the Porter Beer Bar in Little Five Points, and really that's what kind of started me on my
Shout
journey.
out to Molly Kiram over there and that crew.
We had beer class, and I got to learn so much about beer. And, kind of when I get involved with anything, I just like to learn as much as I can, and Porter really provided a great space to do that and to, kind of fuel my passion and excitement about beer. So that's really kind of how it came together. It's actually how I met Jason.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah.
What was Jason like back then, man? Because he's a very interesting, quirky dude. But what was it like back then kind of getting started in craft beer?
I would love to say something crazy because he's sitting right here, but no, he's the same he's the same now as he was then. We actually found that we shared similar flavor preferences with beer.
Nice.
So he would come sit at the bar, and I always had good recommendations of things that were new or things that I thought that he would like, and generally, I was on point with my recommendations for him, and from there we just started talking. He actually kind of became a resource for me because he's also just like has almost a photographic memory for beer.
Right.
So anytime I have a question about something that I forgot, I would call him or text him. It's like, hey, you remember that beer? What was it?
So he's like basically like a mental untapped of his own, right? Just being able to know what he drank, when he drank it, where, and being able to be attentive to it.
I would say, almost to an obsessive level. Just really, there are some of us like me who are really passionate and excited and want to learn about beer, and then I think Jason kind of takes it to a different level where he really wants to know everything about beer and just studies it with a degree of scrutiny that most of us don't.
Well, he hangs out with Scott from Burt Hickory. So, that tells you, if you can hang out with that guy, you have to be a little bit crazy about this whole craft beer thing.
I guess.
By the way, guys, we're having fun here on Beer It Is, and I'm laughing because Jason's in the background, so it's really cool. But I really do enjoy this place and what you guys do. So, speaking of what you guys do, you're sipping on the Sycophantes Blanc.
Yes.
Fig
sour ale. Well, I guess we're calling it's a golden fig sour ale. So, for those of you who are familiar with some of our beers that we've produced to date, we have a Sycophantes that is a fig sour ale. It's kind of a riff on a Belgian double. So we ferment it with Trappist ale yeast. We sour part of the wort, add dark candy syrup, so you get some of those very nice dark roasted fruit character. We also age it on black mission figs, and then it produces this like wonderfully earthy, sweet, tart beer. So that is our normal Sycophantes. Jason wanted to kind of remix it a little bit this year and try something different. So for the Sycophantes Blanc, we based it more on a triple. So it's a little bit lighter. We use golden fig.
Lighter in color.
Lighter in color, not in alcohol.
Yeah, we'll explain that part later.
It is a little bit stronger for sure. It's a 9.5% instead of 7.5%. So it's a little bit stronger, but it is lighter in color. It actually kind of goes down a little bit lighter because it doesn't have dark candy syrup in it. It's a little bit more tart because of that as well. The golden figs add a different dynamic to it. It's not quite as earthy as the darker figs, but it's really lovely.
So listen, guys, when you see this beer on the market, and it comes in a bomber, correct? The 22 ounce.
Actually, Sycophantes Blanc is draft only.
Oh, draft only. So if you get a hold of this beer, either here at Orpheus or probably at a place like the Porter, the Brick Store, maybe the Nest up in Kennesaw, few accounts that will get it, like maybe an Ale if they have it on. If you get a hold of this beer, sip it slowly, because it will fool you. You will think that it's an easy drinking beer, but it's not.
I actually think that can be said about many of our beers.
You guys are here for the play around.
And it's not like, I don't even know that was intentional. I'd like to say it's not intentional, but I don't know, maybe it is. But we like really nice, flavorful dry beers, and they tend to not taste as strong as they are, which is good or bad depending on the day.
And so, I tell you what, there's one place where you can always find something strong and flavorful and fun. That is here on Beer It Is on the CSPN network. My name is Nubyjas Wilborn, and I am here with Rebecca Royster as we are rapping and talking about beer. We just got finished going through the Sycophantes Blanc, which, as you said, is draft only. Gosh, I wish it came in a bomber, because I tell you what, I would love to trade that with people. But hey, the game's the game.
For a first time, I can't think of anything that we've produced to date that we've packaged on the first run. Most things we like to try draft first.
And you guys aged that. I'm sorry. And you guys aged that in white wine barrels, correct? Or no?
The Sycophantes, no.
No.
Or the Sycophantes Blanc?
The Blanc. Okay.
Nope.
Oh wow, you just got it that way through. Shout out to Jason.
Our souring process. We use a mother culture that has all sorts of fun microbes, bacteria, yeast that sours our wort. Produces really awesomely berry, wild, kind of funky character that we really love and appreciate in our sours and tart beers.
And let's get into the souring game a little bit, because we're seeing certain other breweries. Well, we can name names, because everybody's cool to everybody. Like, Sweetwater, they're doing their souring series. They're doing it away from their brewery. Monday night, they're about to start a souring series. They're doing it outside of the brewery. But you guys, you do your souring right here in the same facility. How are you guys able to do that and maintain the cleanliness?
Well, for the beers like Sycophantes Blanc, Atalanta, Wandering Blues, all of that souring takes place on the hot side of the process. So where we have a mash tun that also serves as a souring vessel. Sometimes we actually will use our open tanks to sour wort, but it always gets transferred ultimately to our kettle where it's boiled. So everything is killed essentially before it moves to fermenters or to the cooler side of the process.
And I tell you what, man, that was a beautiful explanation. That's one of the reasons why I really wanted you on the podcast, to kind of just get the other side for people to kind of understand that you can sour in the same facility.
Sure.
And make it work. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. We also do sour in barrels, and we have a room dedicated to producing more. We like to classify our sours either wild or tamed. We do a lot of tame sours where we're more in control of the live cultures and active cultures in the finished product. And then we do some things that we'll put in barrels and, let time take its course and the various microbes, flavor the beer, and we taste accordingly, and, time determines when it's ready. So there's just a wide range of ways to produce awesome sour and tart beers.
And speaking of sour and tart beers, one of your most popular sellers, or it may be your most popular, the Atalanta.
Yes.
And you don't see very often where, I always call it to keep the lights on beer. Every brewery has one, whether it's Sweetwater with 420, whether it's Terrapin with Hopsecutioner, Creature Comforts with, the IPA, Tropicalia that everybody loves.
Sure, yeah.
Everybody has that one that keeps lights on. It seems like Atalanta has become that beer for you guys, and it's a sour, which is interesting.
Truth be told, when we launched, we did not expect Atalanta to be our flagship or standout from the pack beer. Yeah. It's been a really exciting thing to be part of and to see grow, honestly, because I think if you polled most of the people on our team, Atalanta is a house favorite.
Yeah.
And of course, we love all of the beers,
but
it's one. I know for me personally, it's the one that I drink most frequently.
Yeah.
It's 5.25%. It's really nice and refreshing. It goes...
It's a drinker any time of the year.
Yeah, any time of the year, whether it's cold, whether it's hot. You can be cutting grass, you can be at the pool, you can be at the beach, you can be at home. It goes with food. It's just such a wonderful beer. And, to introduce a sour beer as a year-round was not a popular idea when we launched. So we weren't sure how it was going to go, but I can't just say enough how excited we are that it is as popular as it is.
And by the way, and that's a really eye-catching can. That, I guess, that plum kind of color to it.
Oh, the can is beautiful.
Yeah.
We had artwork designed by Brandon Sadler. We like to work with local artists, and we, work with them. They design a piece of work for each beer that we create. That's always fun because, you get to not only have Jason's artistic vision that goes into the liquid inside the can, but he gets to partner with an artist to design, the outside packaging, which is pretty cool.
And that is something that I just really enjoy about you guys. Like, there seems to be a lot of thought that goes into every can, every beer, both the liquid, the design of the can, and I like that the fact that the cans are consistent, but they're all different.
Sure, yeah. With the exception of some of our IPAs, Transmigration of Soul, Life, Death, Life, Truth, Peace, Word, Truth, Lion, Truth, Body, Soul, all have the same artist. But so there's more of a consistency with the piece of art on the can itself. But most of the other cans were designed by a different person. And it's neat to see the similarities, but also the striking differences.
Yeah. But it seems like they all kind of have the white base.
Well, sure, yeah. The actual layout of the cans are
Yeah.
the same across the board. We pick a different striking color for each can because we really liked the idea of having, the art stand out, just like we hope that the beer inside stands out, and just having nice bold color.
Or like the IPAs intentionally green or shades of green. I noticed like Truth, Body, Soul is like a dark green. I think Life of Truth kind of has like a little shade of green. Is that kind of intentional, or does that just happen?
It is intentional, but I think to start, we really wanted to go with blue and went with green. And
I like green for IPA.
Green is good. Green, they look great. The cans are great. But I don't know if it's necessarily, I guess since they're kind of in a family, to keep them related, choosing different shades of green.
I told somebody I was like greens for hops, so I just I was like the IPA, and that's literally how like when I go to the store and I see whether it's True Body Soul, whether it's Transmigration, or whichever one's IPA, it's gonna be green. I was like, I just think green hops green, so that's the IPA.
That makes sense.
So so tell people that now. No, I'm just kidding, but
I mean that's kind of why we settled on green ultimately. There was a push to do blue because, well, I mean, that's my favorite color. I wasn't really involved in that decision, but green makes sense.
And speaking of green, you guys are starting to kind of really get it together, building. I'm hearing there's some things coming.
Yeah.
What's coming next for you guys as far as growth that you can share?
This year, we are increasing our year-round portfolio. So last year we had 3 beers available year-round: Atalanta, Lyric Ale, a Saison, and the Wrights IPA.
The Wrights, yeah.
Yeah. This year we decided to switch it up a little bit. So we're going to continue, of course, with Atalanta because that's definitely, I think, in my opinion, it really does best encompass like what we're setting out to do. And so we're keeping that, of course, year-round. Lyric Ale will also remain year-round, but this year, kind of listening to feedback from our consumers and the people who really love Orpheus, we also wanted to do Transmigration of Souls, our double IPA year-round.
10%, that's a big boy.
10% also doesn't drink like 10%.
No, it does not at all.
It's frustrating to me, honestly, as a person who has definitely consumed a few of them.
And you guys still in a 6-pack.
Yeah.
Will it still stay in a 6-pack?
It will still stay in a 6-pack, and it's a lot of fun, but it can be dangerous.
Yeah,
but in a good way.
And depending on where you're at, where your market is, I bought that 6-pack for as little as $10. I bought it for as much as $16.
Yeah.
Depending on where I bought it, when I bought it.
Oh, 16. I've never seen it that high.
Yeah,
so
I won't
go back to that.
I won't say who they are, but I mean they had it, and I'm like, you know what? I want it, and I'm not coming down to the brewery, so
thank you for supporting.
Of course, man. I mean, hey, man, like I said, that beer. I am in Gainesville, GA. Falcons, not too far from here. They used to train here back in the day, but we're here now, home of the Red Elephants. But also, more importantly, maybe, home of an interesting brewery with a funny name, Left Nut Brewery, and the man behind it, Pat Data. Pat, how are you, my man?
I'm good, sir. How are you today?
Man, I'm feeling fantastic and going to be feeling even better because I am now starting to slip on your leaning Lena.
The Leaping Lena, sir.
Leaping
Lena, yeah.
Leaping. Tell me about the name of that beer, man.
Yeah, let me tell you about it. One of the things that we do is with all of our beer names, we try to have a little bit of a background, whether it's reflective of who we are, styles, origin, or local history. And the Leaping Lena comes from a name of a fire engine that was built in 1927 and put into commission in Gainesville. And after the 1936 tornado that devastated Gainesville, that was the only thing remaining standing in downtown Gainesville.
Wow, was this fire truck?
Yeah, it was this fire truck. And they called it the Leaping Lena because it had a funky clutch, so it kind of leapt before it went anywhere.
Nice.
So we thought we would honor that memory and produced our Imperial Red Ale. And
red like a fire engine.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
And I like the color on this beer. And I like the way it looks. It's an Imperial Red Ale. So talk to me through that style.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of red ales. Typically, people associated that with Irish red ales and things like that.
Or the Killian's Irish Red.
Exactly.
You know what? And I will say this real quick. That was one of my, quote, gateway beers. That was one of the first good beers I drank.
That's right.
And I'll still drink a Killian's. I'm not going to hate on it.
Yeah.
If I'm at a certain spot, St. Patty's Day.
Absolutely. Why not?
But this is better.
And again, what we wanted to do was kind of evaluate the market, see what's out there. And there weren't a lot of reds out there. And there may have been a reason for it, obviously. Maybe it's not a popular style. But at the same time, we're about kind of putting some things in the market that aren't chasing the rabbit like everybody else.
Right.
So one of the things we did was said, hey, why not? And our brewer was very interested in it, Jason Ford. our head brewer.
Shout out to Jason.
Yeah.
Get your scooter right, Jason.
Get your scooter right. And so basically we created this thing based on his recipe, his idea, and he came up with this thing. And I think what we wanted to do was feature a red ale in all its glory, but amp it up a notch by increasing the amount of alcohol and flavor profile. Yeah. So thus we created that Imperial Red Ale. It's got a lot of the malty, caramely creaminess to it, but at the same time, it's got a little spicy notes from the use of Bravo hops.
Yeah,
so
I like those Bravo hops, man.
Nice balance to that whole thing.
Because it's interesting, because on the front, it's really smooth. At the back, that little bit of... What's the IBUs on this beer?
The IBUs aren't that... It's probably about... in the 50s.
Okay, just enough.
Just enough.
Yeah. Because I'm kind of over the crazy 110 IBU beer. Not there's anything wrong with that, but I like a little bit of balance.
Yeah, I like hoppy beers. I'm a hop head. I love it. But I think it's time that we kind of get back to that sort of balance you're talking about.
Right.
And if you notice all of our beers, and you've tasted a few of ours. Mm-hmm. Basically, what you're seeing.
We're going to try a few more as we go along here. So.
Sounds great. What we're trying to do is kind of feature the malt back again, make the malt part of the process again, because I think what we've done is gone too far over to take the malt out, make it light, make it hoppy, make it fragrant. None of that is bad, but I think it's time that we kind of come back to something that doesn't tax you to drink it. Mm-hmm. We want you to kind of enjoy every aspect of that beer, all the dimensions of the beer. So that's why one of our signatures is going to be, if you taste it, even across our lighter beers, that the malt is featured. Our blonde ale, we use enough malt in it, so when you taste it, you get a nice mouthfeel. You start to get some honey notes and so forth that aren't always prevalent in a blonde ale. But the fun part we do with that blonde ale is we finish it with a Czech Saaz hops.
Oh, yeah.
Because that gives it that crisp Pilsner-esque finish that you don't expect out of a typical blonde ale.
And so let me ask you this. We're talking hops, we're talking malt, but do you guys like to have a standard yeast? If you don't want to give it up, that's fine, but...
No, we have a few yeasts that we use.
Okay.
We use the 1099 yeast strain, which is an English yeast strain. We also use the Sierra Nevada 1056 yeast strain and so forth. So, yeah, you're right. When it comes back, we are using some of the old school stuff.
I like that, though, yeah.
And then we also, if you look at our double IPA, we're also using old school hops. Cascade, Chinook, Columbus. Nothing wrong with that. Bring it back.
The basic,
that's right,
simple, but clean hops. Because that provides a really good-looking beer when it's brewed right.
Not only that, what it does is I think when used in different combinations of the three, whether it's in the boil or whether it's post-boil aromatic or dry hop, you can start really creating a profile that doesn't exist before, even with the three, by just mixing different amounts of each during each phase.
So you kind of play with it a little bit.
Absolutely.
Maybe some Chinook in the boil, maybe this in the hop. I like it. I like it. Having a little fun.
And you know what? We're a commercial brewery, right? And one of the things we want to do is make sure that we have regular access to all the ingredients and raw materials.
Yeah.
And, I love all of the great hops that are out there, the citrus, the mosaics, and everything else. Nothing wrong with them, but they're harder and harder to get.
Yeah, I asked my friends up at Creeks of Comforts with Tropicality.
And they make a great beer.
Yeah.
Right? But what we wanted to do was make sure not only do we make a really good beer, but also didn't choke the market by not having the beer available when people wanted it.
You can keep making the great beer. And I tell you where you can keep doing things. Keep checking us out here on Beer It Is on the CSPN Network. My name is Nubyjas Wilborn. I am here at Left Nut Brewing in beautiful Gainesville, Georgia. And that name, man.
All right, so everybody asked that.
I know. We got to go there.
We got to go there. Well, so what happened is after about 2.5 decades in the corporate world, I decided to take my passion of what I wanted to do and do something. But really, it didn't really gel right away. And one day after a tough consulting gig, we were sitting around and asking each other, my colleagues were asking me, well, what would you do if you really had to spend the next 50 years doing something? That's when I said, I would give up my left nut to open a brewery. And that's where the word comes from. And at the end of the day, it is about, giving up something you value to do something you love.
Right. And it takes and speaking of something you value, it takes a lot of money to open a brewery. How much did you start with initially, and how's the investing part kind of going?
it does take a lot of money. Without going into the numbers and everything else, we actually have my business partner, and let me kind of make a shout out to him. His name is Ashesh.
Shout out to Ashesh.
So Ashesh and I basically kind of decided at some point, let's give up the cubicle and let's kind of step into this world. We love beer, everything else. Now, we knew we couldn't commercially brew because we don't have that background.
Right.
So we're fortunate enough.
So were you a home brewer?
I was a home brewer. Since the sort of the late 1980s, I was a home brewer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a long time. Ashesh, although he wasn't a home brewer, he drank a lot. So,
right, yeah. He knows what he likes.
So anyway, so when we set out to do this, we needed quite a bit of capital. And just to say, right now to get a brewery of our scale going and in the market, it takes upwards of $2 million plus to put it in play. And
that's still not including background money you need and everything else.
No. And operational money as an ongoing thing until you reach your break even, right? So we were fortunate to have a good base of investors. We continue to raise capital through investors. And so that's where we are right now. So far we've been fortunate, and we hope that fortunate process keeps up.
Hey guys, so you never know out there, man. So hey, if you got an extra couple $100,000, call these guys.
Call us up.
We'll
talk.
Well, hey, you make some magic happen, man. And speaking of the magic, so you're home brewing in the 80s, man.